Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your astrological forecast for next week. This one will be predominantly oriented on the Leo new moon, which we will be experiencing next Thursday. And before we get there, of course, we will name the aspects that will be happening before that, and some of the aspects that are actually going to be fully present for this new moon in Leo will be becoming exact after that. But before I go any further, I would like to remind everyone that my seasonal 25% of all my services sale is actually ending with the end of the Cancer season. We are entering into Leo season on Tuesday, and this is when my sale is going to end. So if you would like to book a reading with me with a reduced price tag, then this is your last opportunity because the prices will go back to normal on the 22nd of July. All right, I already opened this space, so I'm not going to waste any more time of your watching time. Thank you for being here. And I'm just going to directly dive in. I'm actually pre-recording this on Friday. It will be released on Saturday. And on a day when I'm recording this, which is Friday the 18th, at the time when I'm recording this, moon is just about to move into the sign of Taurus. So we will be having moon in the sign of Taurus for the majority of the weekend. Moon will move into the sign of Gemini on Sunday in preparation for the week of the new moon in Leo, and also the change of the season from Cancer season to the Leo season. And of course, the very important thing to mention is that at the time of me recording this, Mercury is retrograde. So let's see how this goes. But yeah, Mercury just stationed retrograde in early hours of today morning. And as we know, Mercury will remain retrograde until August 11th. Will leave the shadow on August 25th and will enter into the sign of Virgo on September 2nd, which is actually the same day when Saturn will re-enter Pisces. All right, so Mercury retrograde, moon in a sign of Taurus, and also later on today on Friday when I'm recording this, but obviously by the time you're watching this, this already will have happened. Venus is going to have a sextile with Mercury retrograde in Leo. Then Saturday, on a day when you're watching this, Sun is squaring Chiron. This is something that was already active during the last lunation, the full moon in Capricorn. So Chiron is creating a pressure, or both are creating a pressure. Sun in Cancer, Chiron in a sign of Aries, to go beyond our attachment to the wounding of the identity that we adopted being in this physical world. All right, and then on Sunday we will end this week with Mercury trine Ceres, and as I already mentioned, moon will be moving into the sign of Gemini, which is all about the choice, as we know, and it's a mutable sign, so it's going to be different things for different people. And of course, moon in Gemini is going to make a sextile to Saturn, Neptune, and trine to Pluto. All right, we're going to enter into a new week, the first week of Leo season officially, with Mars making a conjunction to the South Node, opposition to North Node. This is on 19 degrees, 38 minutes. So for Mars obviously being a sign of Virgo, this is Capricorn decan just about. And for the North Node being in Pisces, this is the second decan, which is the Cancer decan, right? All right, so this conjunction, so Mars opposition to North Node, conjunction to South Node. So Mars last conjuncted North Node on 19th of May 2024 in a sign of Aries. This is when Mars was the ruler of the North Node, and Mars last conjuncted the South Node on a 4th of October 2023 in the sign of Libra. Alrighty ho, so then on Tuesday the 22nd, Venus will square the lunar node, so Venus will become the skip step. Venus is currently in the sign of Gemini, resolution being the North Node in the sign of Pisces. So what we are releasing and making a new choice to create a life of a deeper meaning, because of course our values now change. But again, Venus being a sign of Gemini, this is a different thing for different people. Okay, on the same day, Venus will also trine Pallas, and then Tuesday 22nd, later on, moon will move into a sign of Cancer, which is a sign of her rulership, and Sun will move into a sign of Leo. So we will officially enter into the Leo season on Tuesday the 22nd. And also happy birthday to all Leos, upcoming birthday. And I know a few. All right, then. Then Wednesday the 23rd, Sun will make a sextile to Uranus, and this is on 0 degrees and 38 minutes. Sun is in Leo, Uranus is in the sign of Gemini. Oh, and I forgot to mention that, of course, Venus, squaring the lunar nodes, Venus had a conjunction with North Node 3 times in the spring because, of course, Venus was retrograde from Aries to Pisces back to Aries. So, yeah, the triple conjunction happened on the 1st of February, 1st of April, and then 23rd of April. Okay, moving to the Sun sextile to Uranus. Last conjunction between Sun and Uranus took place on 17th of May this year, which was right after the full moon in Scorpio. And it happened, of course, in Taurus, 27 degrees, 18 minutes. So this this is the first sextile since, which normally would be a Taurian flavor, but because of Sun being special, this of course is a Aquarius flavor, which is about breaking free. So what are we breaking free? Again, with Uranus being a sign of Gemini, we are making a new choice how we want to evolve, grow and evolve and go beyond where we've been before. And Sun being in a sign of Leo is all about this new authentic expression, which we'll be seeing with the new moon. All right, and then on the same day, on Wednesday the 23rd, Venus in Gemini will make an exact square to Mars in Virgo, 21 degrees. Last conjunction took place on 22nd of February 2024. So this is Venus is in a sign of Gemini, Mars is in a sign of Virgo. This is the final, the last quarter square, which is about crisis in consciousness. Yeah, Venus is behind the Mars. All right, so Thursday the 24th, this is the day of the new moon in Leo, but before the new moon in Leo happens exact, we'll have Sun making a trine to Saturn retrograde in Aries. Last conjunction took place in March, right before the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. The conjunction was on the 12th of March, the full moon was on the 14th of March. So this is a trine, which is a supportive aspect. Of course, this is going to be trine to the moon. And then after that, moon moves into a sign of Leo, and after that, Sun will make a trine to Neptune retrograde in Aries, 2 degrees 4 minutes. And the last conjunction between Sun and Neptune took place after the Virgo eclipse, which was on the 14th, and the last conjunction took place on the 19th. Both took place in the sign of Pisces, both of the conjunctions, I mean. So as we can see, the trine to Saturn with moon still in the sign of Cancer, trine to Neptune with moon already in a sign of Leo, both fully active for the new moon in Leo, which we'll be experiencing on Thursday the 24th. Then Friday the 25th, Sun will make an opposition to Pluto, also very active for this new moon. The last conjunction, which was the first one in a sign of Aquarius, took place on 21st of January 2025, this year in Aquarius, 1 degree 43 minutes. And then on Saturday, we'll have moon moving into a sign of Virgo, which is where moon will remain until Monday. And then we will end the week with Mercury making a square to Vesta. And then we'll move into the new week with moon still in the sign of Virgo. Actually, moon will remain a sign of Virgo for some of us until Tuesday the 29th. For some of you guys in the US, it will be until Monday night. For us here in Europe, it will be already Tuesday the 29th. And prior to that, Venus will make a sextile to Chiron, which we'll talk about next week. All right, so as we can see that this quiet month of July is coming to the end, literally, because we had all these about 3 weeks now of very quiet astrology. Well, yes and no, because of course we had this major shift with the planets changing signs. Of course, everybody going retrograde slowly but surely. We have still Chiron to station retrograde on the 30th. So there are a lot of energetical shifts, but there weren't so many aspects going on apart from moon. Obviously, moon is always busy, but that is all changing. As you can see, next week is going to be busy with the astrological aspects. And this is all, of course, preparing us for this new moon in Leo, which we are going to look at now. So, all right, new moon in Leo. So as always, being a new moon, this is a reset of the previous new moon, which actually got seeded on that very interesting date, which was August 4th, 2024. Why is this interesting? Because as I mentioned last year, and I'm sure many times since, we had the eclipse in Aries on 8th of April. So 8-4, or, depends which way you look at the digit, but either way is the same digit, 8th of April, and then the new moon in Leo was on the 4th of August. So the same two digits. So this is where the new moon got seeded. Obviously at the time, everybody was in a different sign. We had still the North Node in the sign of Aries, but 0 degrees. 0 degrees of, sorry, not 0 degrees, 8 degrees, 0 minutes, 8 degrees, 0 minutes. And we can see that at the time there was also a formation of a beautiful kite, and then, a lot of other things. But anyway, I'm not going to dive into the interpretation of this astrology. If you want to hear about Leo new moon from 2024, you can find it on my YouTube channel. The important thing to obviously pay attention to is that nodes were in a different sign at the time. And of course, all the planets were in a different sign. And Saturn, Neptune were still in the sign of Pisces, Uranus in the sign of Taurus. That all changed. And then we had the full moon in Leo, which was in February 12th this year. And at the time we were just, getting ready for the eclipse season, which took place the following month. But the nodes were already in a new signs. The nodes were already in a Pisces and Virgo sign. So you can see we had quite a bit of pressure from Uranus there at the time. What was going on with this one and Uranus? Let's have a look. Yeah, Uranus was a little bit too far, so it wasn't causing too much havoc. But yeah, during the full moon in Leo, we had the square from Uranus. Okay, this is the current chart, 24th of July, and it's beautiful because here in Bulgaria it's happening at 22:11. So I'm keeping this chart because I like the numbers. And yeah, at the time, of this new moon in Leo, we have Saturn, Neptune still in a sign of Aries, already retrograde, Uranus in the sign of Gemini, still direct, Chiron is still direct just for now, because during the next lunation, we will already have Chiron retrograde and so on and so forth. We dive into it. And then, of course, we'll have the full moon in Leo in February 2026. This will be actually the final lunation prior to eclipse season, because the next lunation after this one will be the full moon new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius. New moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, which will be the first eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. The full moon in Leo will not yet be an eclipse. However, the new moon in Leo 2026 will be the eclipse. 12th of August 2026. So the full moon in Leo 2026 will be the first lunation with Neptune back in the sign of Aries, but Saturn at the time will be still in the sign of Pisces. And then when we have the full moon, new moon in Leo 2026, so 1 year from now, which is where the energy we are seeing now is going to reset. We're going to have everybody in a new sign, including Chiron. Chiron will be already in the sign of Taurus, but we can see already retrograde at the time as well. And also the node will be already in different signs too, in Aquarius and Leo. So that's looking glass into the future. We'll talk about it next year. So here we are right here, right now, July 24th, 2025, Thursday for me here in Eastern Europe, time zone 22:11. I'll take it. I like it. And we can see what's going on here straight away. You can see this beautiful fire trine with Lilith. Lilith now moved. She's no longer in the sign of Scorpio. She's now in the sign of Sagittarius. We take that. So now the shadow's going to come with regards to our belief systems, like what is this, belief system orientation that we are attached to? And we can see with the Leo, on 2 degrees is a choice that we are actually choosing a different story for ourselves, a different sense of purpose. This is all about purpose. Leo is all about authentic expression, which is actually connected to our sense of purpose, because you came here to be you, and through your own authentic expression, you came here to contribute towards this tapestry of life, this network of soul, this network of light that we came here to be and to create this change in the world. We can see obviously Mercury is retrograde. Mercury and Sun are going to have a conjunction soon in the sign of Leo the following week after this lunation. So yeah, as we already named, we can see Sun and Moon, so the new moon in Leo, are going to be trined by Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Obviously, the exact conjunction is not taking place until February 2026, end of February, when Saturn moves back into sign of Aries, and we have the opposition with Pluto as well. So this is quite challenging. You can also see the Chiron is very active here as well. This is giving us the opportunity to balance things. So we know with this Pluto in opposition to whoever is in the sign of Leo, we already had the Mars, triple opposition. Then we had the Mercury opposing. Obviously, there's going to be Venus opposing as well when Venus enters into the sign of Leo. So this is all about balancing. What are we balancing? We are balancing the old versions of ourselves, the mask that we wore in order to fulfill this sense of purpose that we didn't even know that we had to. Okay, let me just put this in a context. Okay, this is all about the contracts, because you can see the Leo makes an in conjunction to Capricorn, and obviously Saturn, as the ruler of Capricorn, is trining this Leo. So what this lunation means to me, that this is really, in a sense, we have the opportunity to burn with the fire of creation these old contracts. Saturn, Neptunes are already in a sign of Aries. They are going to go back into sign of Pisces. Saturn in September, right before eclipses. Neptune, I believe, is the 22nd of October or something like that. So either way, with the moon, the new moon in Leo being on 2 degrees, which is the choice. In tarot, 2 degrees is the choice. What are you choosing? This or that. It doesn't matter. What you're choosing is irrelevant. What is relevant is that you are choosing something, especially Venus being in the sign of Gemini, and at this time she's in Aquarian Decan, 22 degrees Aquarian Decan. That's actually a Capricorn degree. Okay, so let's just stay on a track. So with this new moon and also Mercury retrograde, being in a new phase conjunction to this moon, Mercury is helping us to reevaluate our sense of purpose. Like being in a sign of Leo, we know that we had Venus retrograde in a sign of Leo 2 years ago in 2023. Then Mars was retrograde in a sign of Leo, obviously from the end of 2024, and then returned back into the sign of Leo back in April this year. So there is all of this reevaluation of who are we really? Who are we really? Who did we come here to be? Because most of us are wearing these masks. We think this is who I am, but it's not who I am. This is actually the Cancer. This is the, like our ancestor line. This is the, attachment to the culture, attachment to the past. This is how it's always been. Also with the Cancer in conjunction to Sagittarius, we keep recreating the same story because we can't see that this doesn't have to be my story. But we didn't know we had a choice prior to these times in human evolution. We just kept going with it. Okay, my parents were born as this, they believe this, so okay, I'm just going to believe the same thing, right? So with this new moon in Leo in opposition with Pluto, technically an exact opposition, even though the exact opposition is happening afterwards between Sun and Pluto. Obviously between Moon and Pluto is happening few, like a little bit afterwards, but with the Sun and Pluto is next day. So this is saying that there's an opportunity to balance, to balance this expression of ourselves, which we thought that was authentic, but actually wasn't. It was that continuation, of these old stories, the continuation of these old contracts, that now lost meaning. Okay, they lost meaning because also with this North Node, even though the software doesn't picking up, North Node is still being trined by Jupiter, and Jupiter is ruled by the moon. So every single lunation is impacting Jupiter, and Jupiter is impacting every single lunation. It's saying it's time to grow, it's time to evolve, for this entire next year until Jupiter moves into a sign of Leo, which will be 30th of June or 1st of July, depending where you will be in the world next year. Jupiter will be challenging us with every single lunation. It will be challenging us. Is this really who you think you are? Or not even think, is this who you feel you are? Because now with everything that's going on, we are much more sensitive. We are much more tuned in, tapped in into what is going on within us and around us. And it has an impact, and for many people, that which is going on doesn't feel good anymore, because we outgrown it. So this is why with the opposition, which is again, is recreating the energy which already got touched up by Mars 3 times and touched up by Mercury, with this with this Mercury still be the sign of Leo, but I don't believe it's going to go down to 2 degrees. So anyway, but there already was one opposition between Pluto and Mercury, and there will be opposition between Venus and Mercury coming up, towards the end of the summer. So this is what we're playing with, the Pluto being a sign of Aquarius retrograde, and now with Uranus as the ruler being on this anaretic 0 degrees of Gemini in opposition with Lilith. Lilith, which is saying that, okay, Lilith was in a Scorpio before, squared Pluto for quite a few lunations, going on in the past, last month, few months ago. And also there were these T squares, with Mars, when Mars was in a sign of Leo in opposition with Pluto. We had all of that, it's already behind us. But this Lilith is now in Sagittarius, and with this Jupiter being a sign of Cancer, and this is a new moon in Leo, which is like the one and only new moon that is ruled by the sun, which is saying that, okay, it's time to burn this stuff. It's time to burn this stuff because these old stories, this attachment to these old stories, this old sense of identity now lost meaning. Jupiter is trying with North Node. So it's saying, okay, we need to let this go. Neptune is the modern ruler of the North Node, is in Aries, retrograde. Say, is this still an alignment with this new sense of purpose? Is this still in alignment with this new values that you now have, this new way of seeing reality, and does this hold a meaning to you? So that's why the new moon in Leo is very fiery, but it's a new moon. It's a new moon, so in a sense it's like, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what I'm rebirthing here, I don't know what is my authentic expression. But you know what it isn't, because when it doesn't feel good anymore, it feels restrictive, it feels this is old now, this is old one, I don't want to have to do this anymore. So we can see with the Venus square to Mars, which, like I said, it is the last quarter square, the closing square prior to the next conjunction, which will take place next year, I believe. But don't quote me on that because I didn't check. But this, in any case, it's a closing square, which is saying that it's time to release something. What are we releasing? Well, we're making a choice to release this. Because this is a Sagittarius decan, and it is the 1 degree, which is the Aries degree. We are releasing this attachment to this story that is not new, it's not new, everything just keeps repeating itself. But is this something I'm choosing to be my story? Because with the Mercury being on 13 degrees, this is Sagittarius decan, obviously we go back to Jupiter, and Lilith, being very active participant again, being part of this beautiful fire trine, but also being part of this kite. We have this kite with the sun and moon in opposition with Pluto. So these are the points that we are focusing on. Okay, we have this new moon in Leo. What are you choosing as your new authentic expression, the role you want to play for humanity that will then unveil to you what is your new sense of purpose, by you going, through life. And also with that in conjunction to Capricorn, like I said, we can't really see what's going on here, because Saturn is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde. So you have to tune in, tap in. Also with this Mars, by this point in a new phase conjunction with the South Node, still in opposition with the North Node, but the new phase conjunction with the South Node is again about, did we learn? Did we learn? What did we learn based on these old stories? What did we learn as a humanity playing out all these roles? In a sense, Leo, we know, is dramatic. Leo is the center stage. Is the you are the main star in your life. You are the main actor or actress. Whatever, doesn't matter, the sex role, and everything around you is kind of playing a role to help you to understand yourself. Obviously this role is not just about you, but your reality, your life that you experience in. You are the observer of it, so you are the one playing the role. So when you look at it from the perspective of Leo as a drama, as a stage, when you go to the theater and you're watching what's going on a stage, it's saying you have the opportunity to choose a different role. Because now with all these moons that we had prior, the new moon in Gemini, choosing the timelines, the new moon in Cancer, who do you want to be, your identity, how do you want to feel, not even who do you want to be as a mentally, that's with the Mercury, like, okay, this is what I would like to experience, this is, the story, da da da. But with the Cancer, it was, well, how do you want to feel, how do you want to feel in your future? And now with this Leo, it's like, okay, what is the role you want to play? Because that role will determine then your purpose, because it's like, okay, there is an actor and this is the role the actor plays, is the hero, is the baddie, who is it? And then like, okay, his purpose is to save the princess, or his purpose is to do whatever, find a cure for something, or I don't know, whatever. But again, it's like, don't go comparing yourself to somebody else, because with Leo it's all about authenticity, and with Aquarius it's all about individuation. So with the opposition, we're trying to balance the two, especially with the Uranus now in Gemini, which is all about the choice. Everybody will make a new choice. And for you, it's not to compare yourself like, oh, am I behind, or am I making the wrong choice? There is no wrong choice. It's just you have to make it from your heart. You have to make it from your heart, because Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is the rule of Uranus. Mercury is the rule of the South Node that is now in a new phase conjunction with Mars. Mars is how Pluto acts consciously in Virgo. It's going to be a step-by-step process. It's a new learning curve, because you no longer will go out there and compare yourself. What is everybody else doing? Am I behind? Am I doing something wrong? Who cares? You didn't come here to live somebody else's life. And this is why so many people are depressed and suppressed and unhappy and feel like their life lacks meaning and purpose, because all our life we're being programmed to constantly compare ourselves and to, chase these goals and these illusions that we were being told, if you achieve this you'll be happy, if you achieve that you'll be happy. And how many people in this world are happy? Usually the people that are happiest are not the people that have all these achievements, because it's always about this constant comparison. It's like we are chasing a mirage. We are chasing the fake meaning, the fake meaning, like, yeah, obviously you came here to self-actualize, to create something, to do something, to be someone, but you will never be done. It's not like, okay, when I get that Oscar, I'll be done as an actor, I'll be happy. You can speak to these Oscar winners and how happy they were after that, maybe for that 5 minutes on the stage when they held that statue, and then they come home and they feel depressed, because they feel like, oh man, now what? If I don't get another Oscar, they will think I'm a loser. And if I get another Oscar, well, that's a lot of pressure. And then, is this going to be the rest of my life? Like just chasing my own achievement, to like uh, go beyond what I already achieved, but like it's been, in a sense, it is being rated by someone else. It's being rated by someone else, and that's where we always slaves, because I'm expect this is also the Leo, in a immature vibration, the external validation. I want the external validation. I want the world to show me how much I achieved. So for as long as we want that, we can't see, but for as long as we want that, someone else is in charge, the Capricorn, the invisible, if I am not aware that I am chasing an external validation, and I am giving my agency and sense of authority to someone else, then I will always feel suppressed. I will always feel disempowered. I will always feel like I'm a dancing monkey, and I hope somebody else will notice me or something. And then also with the Leo and the Pisces, the in conjunction between Leo and the Pisces, you will never see the meaning. You will never see it. Or you can only feel it with your heart. You can only feel it with your heart. And in order to feel it, you have to be brave and courageous to just go after it and be okay with making mistakes. Because how else we gonna learn? We know everything we know because of all the mistakes that were being made. Otherwise, how would we know? Like, okay, there is an evidence, and the evidence is saying if you keep doing the same thing, you will achieve the same result, you will attract the same thing, right? So now with this Mars in a new phase conjunction, Mercury retrograde as the ruler of Mars, South Node, and also Venus at the moment as well, and Uranus in Gemini, and Uranus being the ruler of Pluto in opposition with the Moon, You can see how everything is connected as always. Mercury is retrograde. It's saying it's time to reevaluate. It's time to see, is this still something that sets my heart on fire? Or is this something that makes me feel very angry, because I feel suppressed? Because this is triggering my wounding, like this is the Mercury. Well, actually, let's see. So this is technically Taurus. Yes, this is the Chiron square in the moon, out of sign square, but it's still square in the moon because obviously Sun and Chiron are having the square Saturday, as I'm recording this the day before. So yeah, so this is the Chiron that's closing square, applying a closing square to this moon, which is saying it's time to let it go. It's time to allow yourself to go beyond your wounding, which is the wounding of the humanities. It's not yours. It is not personally yours. Like, okay, you are a failure and everything that's gone wrong in your life, it's just your fault. I mean, like, yeah, we have made choices that, maybe were uh, not the best choices we could have made, but many of our choices, actions, way of thinkings, and way of reacting and responding to what's going on out there, it is program. It is program that's been projected onto us, and in many cases, we are completely unaware. We are completely unaware what is actually going on, right? So that's why with this, Lilith now coming out of the shadow. Lilith came out of the shadow. She's no longer in Scorpio. She's not in the shadow anymore. She's now ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, that is illuminated every time that there is a moon. So this Lilith now being a sign of Sagittarius in opposition with this Uranus, it's say like, okay, what story do you want to create over here? What story are you choosing, and what is the role that you are choosing to play in these stories? And yeah, we can get lost on like, but look at what's going on, but look at what these people are doing, but look at whatever, but we know that for as long as we keep using the what is as a measurement of what can be, we will never get beyond that. That's why Saturn Neptune is in Aries. They're saying there is a new way. There is a new way. What is the new way? Well, we have to learn from the past, but we can't see. We can't see what is the new way because between Aries and Virgo, Aries and Virgo, there is an inconjunction. You have to go through life. You have to go through life. You have to embody and experience it, and you have to learn for yourself because it's gonna be different for different people. Obviously, there are some things that are general and universal. Like the you don't put the fingers in a socket, and you don't put your hand on a hot stove. Okay, this is apply this applies to everyone. Unless you are some kind of like miracle person that already transcended these kind of things, walking on the fire and stuff like that. However, just keep it simple. There are things that, yeah, we all learned, from our ancestors that are applicable. And, we say, okay, this is a good idea. Let's not do that. But then there are things, that are unique to you, like with your ancestors. Okay, your ancestors might have decided, okay, I don't want to be, I don't know, a tarot reader because that means that I'm going to be burned at the stake, or I'm going to be seen as a fraud or as a cheat, and people will not respect me, they will not take me seriously or whatever. But is it still the truth? That was the level of consciousness humanity had back then, right? Now we are living in different times, so we can make a different choice. So if that is your authentic expression, or like the arts, before, like the starving artist, now they say starving healer. But is it the truth? Like, just because that's how it used to be, doesn't mean, like, look at some of the people now, some of the healers now, some of the artists now, like how abundant they are. So it is not the truth, it is not the truth for everyone. It is not the generational truth every generation. So this is where we have this Lilith, actually retrograde over here. Lilith in Sagittarius on 1 degree, the magician, and the 24, which is in a sense, 24 is like the end of the zodiac times two, but it's also the number six, which is, the two and four and six, the choice of what is the structure of your new reality that creates a balance. And we can see with this ample opposition that we have over here, quite a few. And also the T square, with Venus and the nodes, resolution, the north node, ruled by Neptune in the sign of Aries and Jupiter in the sign of Cancer as the ruler of the moon. And the sun, obviously, being in a Leo. So this is the perfect one. So yeah, resolution, the north node. What are we releasing because it lost meaning? Because this Jupiter say it's time to expand. It is time to expand. So I mean, again, the message is very simple. Obviously, you can see everybody's very busy over here, and as we, named all the aspects, there is a lot of stuff going on. Especially Sun is incredibly busy, with all the trine, Saturn, Neptune, opposition to Pluto. Like there is a lot of stuff going on for the Sun. And also eventually we're going to have the trine to Chiron at the end of the Leo season. At the moment is still the residue of the square, that is happening as I'm recording this, but by the time of this moon, it will be a passé. Still active out of sign, but I mean, it will be what is it called? Disseminated square, whatever, it's no longer applying. It's like afterwards, it's after the effect. It's the peak already happened. So yeah, so Chiron is obviously busy over here, and Chiron is also making an out of square to Pluto. This is like a T square with the out of sign, not out of square, out of sign square. So for Pluto and Chiron, this is a first quarter square, which is a crisis in action. What do we have to do? We have to step into the unknown. Pluto is in a sign of Aquarius. There is no guarantee. The guarantee is that where you go in, you haven't been before. And this is the Uranus in Gemini. You can choose whatever the hell you want to choose. Just try to choose from your heart, because otherwise you're going to be choosing from the place of the wounding, which is that Mercury in Leo coming into the trine with Chiron. Not yet, because obviously Mercury is retrograde now, so it's gonna take a while. But yeah, Mercury being in a sign of Leo, the Sagittarius decan, and then, what did I say? Aries degree, right? Aries degree is saying it's time to create a new story, because if you don't, then you keep recreating the old one that is based on that, the lower vibration of Leo, which is the narcissistic tendencies of the wounded inner child, because it doesn't see wholeness. This is the in conjunction, in that lower vibrational point with the Leo and Pisces. It doesn't see wholeness. It doesn't see itself as part of oneness. It sees itself as separate because it's been wounded. But if it's coming from the higher place, the higher expression of Leo, which is this connection to your heart, to your authentic expression, the joy, the happiness, the purity of the child, the pure inner child that is not wounded, then you can see the meaning. You can understand everything, the absolute, well, there is no absolute really, but the totality, the Pisces. So again, going back to this Saturn, Neptune conjunction trine to this Leo new moon, and they both being retrograde, the answers can only be found within, because the retrograde planets are deeply individuated. They are very individuated. You have to go within to find the answers. You will not find them outside of you, because again, it's going to mean different things to different people. And this is Aries. It's like, I don't know. I just have to go and have an experience. I'm gonna figure it out. It's like your first day on a, I don't know, you go on a cruise ship or something, and you're there for the first day, and they call you from home and say, "How is it? How is it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let me tell you my first impression, but I don't know how the rest of the journey is gonna go. Let me go through it, and then I'll tell you at the end, right?" That's it. That's how it is. So yeah, so we have this beautiful fire trine, which say that the fire of creation is there. How you're gonna use it is up to you. Are you gonna use it to create, or are you going to use to burn in anger? And sometimes the anger is necessary to, get the fire going. To get the fire going. But then how you gonna use it? Because we know that. Not being able to forgive, which is also the Pisces archetype and Neptune, not being able to forgive. It's like they said there is a saying, right? Like holding a hot coal, the burning thing, and wanting the other person to get burned, right? But you're the one holding it. So that's why fire is good to if it's used consciously and if it's used to create something, but otherwise it can burn you. And in some cases, like this one, especially with the in conjunction to Capricorn, and we're talking about contracts, it is time to burn these contracts, to purify, to let go, but we have to become conscious of them, and we can only become conscious of the meaning and why is this all happening if we go within and don't try to understand it based on the evidence of the past, because then we will keep recreating the past. And with the Leo new moon in opposition with Pluto, we are being challenged by, do you want to keep being stuck in the trauma of the past, the Aquarius, the Uranus in Gemini, the mind control, the program, the virus, because this program is got a virus, because it's not going to allow you to break free if you keep holding on to it. Or then is the other choice, the step into the unknown, because Aquarius cannot replicate. It cannot replicate. It's something that's completely unknown. That's why it sextiles this Aries, right? So you want to go beyond, you have to go, I wanted to say alone. You don't have to go alone. There will be people who will join you, but you have to initiate yourself. You have to want to go, and that's the thing, even like in my personal experience, like, I don't know. I know 1 month ahead. I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. I have no idea what's going to happen with my life or anything. But in a sense, like getting used to the not knowing is a good thing at this time where we are as a humanity, because would you have known, it's going to be the replication of the past. Because if it's something that you don't know, it means, okay, you haven't experienced it. What does it mean? Everything is a possibility. It's the unlimited potential of the universe that is to your disposal for manifestation, which is the Leo new moon. What do you want to create? With the sun in his rulership, right? And the moon influencing this Jupiter, who is all about expansion, connected to North Node by traditional rulership, and currently the ruler of Lilith, which is saying we have the opportunity to take humanity beyond the old story that kept us trapped because of the retelling of the same story over and over and over again, based on being bound, to, religion or cultural thing and stuff. It's all about discernment. Yes, some of this still is good, it works. It's not all bad, and it was very useful and helpful. It helped people to get through Pisces age. Otherwise, they would have no hope. They'll be like, what's the point? That was the meaning. But now it's changed. And now it's going to be different things for different people. So anyway, this could also be interpreted in a million different ways when you want to look at it from the 3D perspective and, at the doom and gloom of what's going on in the world and stuff, but that's not the kind of astrology I play with. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of other astrologers that will cover it from that perspective, so if you would like to hear that perspective, that, I'm sure it's available out there. But for me, the way I want to look at this chart and the way I understand it from where I am at, also on my path, and the expression of who I am right here, right now, or who am I in a process of becoming, is that this is an opportunity to burn the impurities that we adopted and became, embodied and became, but they are not the authentic expression who we are. They were bound by contracts from past lives, Pisces, the in conjunction to Pisces, bound by contracts from past lives. But now with the Saturn Neptune retrograde, soon to be re-entering the former sign of Pisces for the final time, final time for this leg. Neptune in our lifetime. Saturn, some of us will experience Saturn in Pisces again, not everyone. But enjoy the here and now. The point is that you have the opportunity to break free from the old contracts, from the past lives, and step into your true, authentic expression that will take you beyond anything you've ever experienced in this life, because it is not the recreation of the past, but it takes courage. It takes courage to face the lessons and the mistakes again, embody them and transmute them and allow them to become something different. It takes courage, because unless they are recognized and we become aware of them and then we run them through our system in order to purify them, they will keep hiding in a shadow. They will keep hiding in a shadow. They will keep hiding in the crevices of our heart that's been wounded. I don't know if there is anyone on this planet, especially of the older generation, that is not wounded in some way, and we are all connected. We are all part of the same, human collective consciousness, the source. We are all a unique expression of it. So it's not like, oh yeah, we are all the same. No, we're not all the same, but we're part of the same. We came from the same, we return to the same. But we are here to express ourselves uniquely, Leo, right? But we can only do that when we strip the layers of who we are not, which is the bound to the contracts of the past, the cords. So that's why we have the opportunity to burn it, clean it, purify it. And on the other side of it, whatever remains is you, the true essence of who you are, which then you can use to create the new and express yourself in a new way, authentically. And this is the first step, right? Towards creating this new life for yourself and others. So don't drown yourself too much in the residue of the past, because the past will resolve itself. It will resolve itself. And especially once these lessons are no longer necessary for humanity to learn, those who are embodying the lessons will self-destruct. They will self-destruct. So it's not, there are people who are on the front lines, who are activists, who are in politics, who are on the front lines, but it's a small percentage of people. And for everyone else who is not that, you are here to create the resolution frequency. Don't add to the frequency of that. Create the resolution frequency, which is that what do you want to experience? Is it the peace? Is it the joy? Is it the happiness? How can you find these in your everyday reality, in the right here, right now? Is it the playing with the dog, playing with your kid, going for the walk, enjoying the ice cream that you have in? These are all experiences we can only have in a human form. You cannot have this experience in a spirit form. So why waste time, right? So that's also Mercury in Leo, retrograde, Saturn, Neptune, retrograde, Chiron, soon to be retrograde on the 30th, 1 week later. Pluto obviously retrograde for some time. Nodes are most of the time retrograde. And there'll be more retrogrades, Eventually we'll have Uranus station in retrograde in September, Jupiter in November. So there's always something going on. Okay, guys. So I think I'm quite content with this 2211 lunation. And when there is a kite, it is divinely orchestrated. And look at that, there is also the mystic rectangle going on there too. But yeah, the two oppositions. Yeah, are we ready to choose something different to balance the scales? So anyway, like I said, if you would like a different interpretation that is more 3D or more fatalistic or more fear-mongering, I'm sure there'll be plenty of that. But this is where I'm going to leave mine. And yeah, once again, final reminder, if you would like a booking to book a reading with me with my discount, then it's available only until the end of Cancer season. And now I'm going to switch to part 2 where I'm going to pull some cards. So if you're interested in hearing what they are, then continue watching, and if not, then I hope you enjoyed this and it brought you some value. And I wish everybody a wonderful happy new moon in Leo. yeah, decide what you want to see with regards to your authentic expression and sense of purpose and destiny going forward. Okay, bye for now.